6 p.m., October 18th, 2022. I call to order the Oconee County Council meeting. As a reminder, the public has two times that they can speak in council meeting. The first is public comments, and the second is public hearing, if there's one scheduled. Other than those two times, the public should remain silent during the council meeting. Anyone making a disturbance during the meeting will be asked to leave council chambers for the remainder of the meeting. Also, as a reminder, please ensure that you follow the county's legal prohibition against engaging in partisan political activity, including speech, during this meeting. This meeting is not called for that activity, and such activity is prohibited by law. Moment of silence, please. Mr. Root?
Yes, sir. Pray with me if you like. Dear Father, it's a beautiful day, and very appreciative that you've given it to us to live in each moment. Help us to remember to focus on one moment at a time, to enjoy one moment at a time, knowing that the next moment is not guaranteed. So thank you for the opportunities today and right now. And as we enjoy this beautiful weather, know that it's getting colder and that we have neighbors who we are commanded by you to love who may not be protected from the cold. So I pray that our hearts would be inclined toward them. And in fact, during this meeting and always, that we be outward looking, that we get away from our tendency towards selfishness and instead work towards selflessness, doing the two most important things, loving you and loving our neighbor. I just pray that this meeting would be a reflection of that and that your wisdom would guide us. I pray in your son's name. Amen.
Mr. Hart, will you lead us in the pledge, please, sir?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there a motion to approve the October 4th, 2022 regular minutes?
So moved.
Any discussion? All in favor?
The vote is 4-0.
Mr. Root?
Only one item, Mr. Chairman. Last meeting, we didn't have an executive session. We do have a couple matters tonight, but Mr. Mize did give me the confidentiality agreement signed, so he's good to go. So when we get to the executive session items, the motion to go into executive session, if you want to include him on the executive session, include that within your motion. Just that note, and that's all I have.
Right.
I have nothing this evening, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Proclamation 2022-17, a proclamation recognizing October 2022 as Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Whereas October is National Breast Cancer Awareness Month, which is an annual campaign to increase awareness of breast cancer and encourage annual mammography screenings, and whereas those recognizing National Breast Cancer Awareness Month remain dedicated to increasing public knowledge about the importance of early detection of breast cancer and its treatments. And whereas the National Cancer Institute estimates that in the United States more than 287,500 new cases of breast cancer in females will be diagnosed in 2022. And whereas 1 in 8 women in the United States will develop breast cancer in her lifetime. And whereas when breast cancer is detected early and is localized stage, the 5-year survival rate for women is 99%. And whereas there are many organizations that continue working to find better ways to prevent, detect, and treat breast cancer to improve the quality of life of patients and survivors. And whereas it's important to celebrate breast cancer survivors and to remember those lost to this disease. Now, therefore, we, the Oconee County Council, do recognize October 2022 as Breast Cancer Awareness Month, encourage all citizens to increase their awareness of breast cancer, the importance of early detection, and the advancement in breast cancer treatment. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? I think probably this is something also that is affecting probably everybody in this room, a relative. And so it's good to recognize this month and celebrate the ones who have beat breast cancer and those that have lost breast cancer. All in favor? Aye.
Vote is 4-0.
Presentation to council. Oconee Addiction Recovery and Solutions, Christ Central Ministries, Oconee. Mr. Ashley Williams, Director of Christ Central Ministries, Oconee, and Oconee Addiction Recovery and Solutions.
That's a mouthful, huh? I laid a calendar up there on your desk. It is actually a calendar. We're actually using these for a little bit of a promotion over the next couple of months. Our board members actually took a lot of these pictures of the waterfalls, and they're avid hikers and stuff. So please take that as a gift. And then also included in the calendar, I put some information there about what we do, the Christ Central Ministries Oconee, plus the ORS program, Oconee Addiction Recovery and Solutions program. So thank you for allowing me to come and share tonight, specifically about what has been going on in the old detention center with Christ Central Ministries Oconee. I hope the presentation kind of shares exactly how we have been helping individuals here in Oconee County. So where we have been and where we are now. From 2009 to 2022, we put a lot of work in these logos, so I wanted to show them to you. We have ORS, we have our Families Fighting Addiction, our Ash Tree, which is our men's recovery program home, and then our Saturday Church, which is our Saturday feeding program. Here's a description, a little bit about each of our services that we do have. Since 2009, we've been kind of finding different ministries, different resources to help Oconee County and the people here in our community. Saturday Church, we feed the less fortunate in downtown Seneca every Saturday. We've been doing that since 2009. That's actually how we got started. Then Families Fighting Addiction, which is a family support group, helping families and helping individuals within that family unit or nucleus to understand what addiction does to family members and how to help that lost family member. Then also we have the ORS program, the 30-day residential program, Oconee Addiction Recovery and Solutions. And then we have the Ash Tree Men's Recovery Support Program, which is a 6-month residential. All of this is here in Oconee County. So our mission is, Christ Central Ministries Oconee's mission is to give hope, cultivate a change, and restore lives for those seeking recovery from substance abuse. I mean, pretty much that's it. It's laid out there. I mean, our goal is to help individuals dealing with substance abuse. Each resource or program provided by Christ Central Ministries Oconee has proven positive outcome of the mission we serve by. The old jail renovation, Christ Central Ministries, ORS, Oconee Addiction Recovery and Solutions, substance abuse facility. So I just want to kind of walk through this journey a little bit, kind of showing you pictures of the past and then present of where we've come from. So the renovation to present, first of all, I want to tell you thank you for your support. Your support as a county council, our county administrator, Sheriff Crenshaw, we have been able to use this facility to help a lot of people. The endeavor was not an easy task to accomplish, but through God's guidance, through Oconee volunteers, and then many hours of hard work, we've been able to take an old building that was pretty much just wore out and actually change it into something that is actually helping individuals today. So before and after pictures, I like to walk you through this. Pictures kind of share the story. So this is kind of where we found it at. This is the before picture, the entrance. Up to the right top would be the actual control room. The bottom right is one of the cells that actually held 18 women in it at one time. I think at any given night, it was probably close to 20 women in that one cell. So this is what it looks like today. A little bit of work, paint, some flowers, landscaping. We've been able to transform the front of that building to something that is more welcoming. Having people saying, wow, this is something that will help my life. So the control room is now our day room. And then you see in the bottom right is the actual women's room, which is now a bedroom for 4 men that is in active residential recovery. Here's a couple of pictures when you're walking into the front of the building. We've actually added the paintings done locally by a local artist here. And we have volunteers that come from many different places to help us. They just really want to give back from their talent to help Oconee County. I love the saying, imagine recovery, because a lot of people that is lost in active addiction, or maybe the families that are lost in active addiction, they may not use but have family members, they really can imagine recovery. They've got to have that hope, and that's what we try to instill with people. So here's a before picture of one of our classrooms that is presently used today. But the picture here depicts the bars, just that old presence of beat down, broken. And this is what it looks like today. So we actually use these jail cells, which would hold 30 inmates at one time. These are our meeting rooms. These are where our classes happen. The picture on the right is actually one of the local AA groups. Every evening they attend there. It's the Pass It On group. And there's probably about 25 individuals right now in that room that have kind of grew together through the recovery process. This is the before picture of the entrance from the Sallyport, walking into the detention center. So this would be the first place that you've seen if you got arrested. And it's not very pleasant walking in that building when you're getting arrested. But from that picture there, you can see the colors of it. The top right is actually the drunk tank. The bottom right is actually a group of volunteers cleaning up the dining area. And this is what it looks like today. Been a lot of work. And what's great about this is you see all of the wood that was brought in, just trying to bring life back into the building, trying to kind of calm down that cement, that hard feel. A lot of that's been done by the men that actually come through the residential program. A lot of volunteer hours again. Now the top right is the old drunk tank, which is now my office. It's great to be in there as I'm a counselor and individuals come in for their session and they'll walk in the door and they'll look at the floor and they're like, oh man, I remember that night over there. So you hear the stories of people that have come in and now they're coming into a building again that's giving them hope. So here's the dining room, bottom right. You can see the difference of just what volunteers do. People that have a desire to help and to take something truly that was really beat down and brought back to life and used it for good. Here's a couple more pictures of our entrance. So our present endeavors. You can tell that we have had a lot of success by how lives are being changed and individuals keep coming back. That's how we kind of assess the product or what our services are doing. Individuals that we work with, when they come and they actually find an inviting community and they find that hope, they're able to find that ability to stay in the recovery process. We found that through the Ash Tree. We found that through the Celebrate Recovery groups that we have. And just over time, when men have that opportunity to find a whole new community, it gets them encouraged to keep moving forward. We've seen that as we had the ash tree actually working for over several years. And then when we went through the renovation of this old jail, we had the opportunity to write a grant. And I have to tell you, thank you again, because it was a pass-through grant. The county council actually approved this, our county administrator, and then Sheriff Crenshaw. But through this grant, it's helped us to actually build a 30-day residential program. This grant was awarded to us in 2021, and it is the COSAP grant, Comprehensive Opioid Stimulant and Substance Abuse Site-Based Program. This grant actually focuses on rural areas such as Oconee County. So the purpose of the program is designed and implemented a collaborative intervention strategy that addresses substance use disorder and pre-booking and post-booking treatment alternative to incarceration. Individuals dealing with substance use disorder. And we know here in Oconee County that this is a problem. Fentanyl is rampant, meth addiction, the heroin addiction, and then you're having your pressed pills, and I could tell you story after story of individuals I work with. This is a daily thing that I encounter every day. Individuals that sit in front of me, they will tell you when they walk out of my office, if they're not going into a recovery program, they will tell you, I don't know if I'll live through the day. They don't know by taking that next shot if they will actually live, make it or not. So I take this serious about what I do and about our staff. We really want to help individuals. So the ORS program actually serves individuals at that high risk of overdose or substance abuse. Everyone that we serve actually has a high severity risk of overdose. They will tell you again that they don't know if they'll make it through another day. Service is done with evidence-based recovery support services, transitional recovery housing, and peer support and medication-assisted treatment. And we do all that evaluation and assessment right there at ORS. Typically, an inpatient residential treatment is the avenue of choice for individual with severe addiction, high risk of overdose, mental instability. And what's amazing is this now is here in Oconee County. You know, our community, our citizens, people who grew up here in Oconee County, they don't have to leave Oconee County. They know where that resource is. Clients live at ORS facility for 30 days or more. They may transition to a halfway house, or they may find another long-term residential program. The ORS facility has 24-hour supervision. We have specialist care and counseling. ORS provides a structured environment training of ongoing life skills and education through groups, individual, and family therapy. So ORS began taking clients into 30-day residential program on January the 24th, 2022. As of today, we have 53 clients that have come through the ORS 30-day residential program. 45 successful graduates. 44 of those graduates are from Oconee County. 42 graduates are still active in their recovery process. And then 42 graduates left with identification cards, medical enrollment, employment, housing, and continuation of residential recovery. That's changing lives. That's individuals who have made it now for 6 months or more. And we're seeing this progress, this process happening right here. So the men at Ash Tree Men's Recovery Home, we have 8 clients in successful transitional phase right now. Each client has their own full-time employment. They attend daily recovery groups. They learn financial budgeting skills. They have a structured life, priorities. And then they prepare for self-sufficiency. Each individual that comes through Ash Tree, they actually, when they graduate, they have everything in line and they walk out into their own residence. One of our past graduates a couple of weeks ago, he had been there for 6 months. During that 6 month process, he got everything back in order with his license. He got all of his legal issues paid up. He was able to find residents. He's got a wonderful job that he is able to take care of him and his 2 children as a single parent. This is awesome. And it's just by giving him that hope. Out of the 45 graduates, 12 of these were considered homeless in Oconee County. So we do have the opportunity to help our homeless population, those that are in active addiction. So one of our future plans is to serve 96 individuals yearly in our 30-day Forest residential program. Our future plans is also to begin a 2-month recovery program as an extension to the 30-day residential recovery program. We want to extend that opportunity and then to provide clients with psychiatric help to those hindered by mental disorder. It is hard to get that assessment done with, we'll say, with Oconee Mental Health and in other areas, but we do work hand in hand with some services. So just a few faces of success. You may know some of these. They did give me permission to show their face. So. But you see there's a smile there. There's individuals like finally coming together that, one of these pictures was taken and we actually heard this statement of this group of guys, the statement from one of them as another person walked up and he said, wow, he said, man, you made it. He said, you're not out there on the street tonight. You see, when somebody in recovery sees somebody else that they used to run with, they actually see them going into recovery, it makes them excited. Because there's a bond there, and they work together, and they support each other. Here's a couple more guys' faces. I can tell you story after story, and how everybody just draws close together. But these are successes, and these are right here in Oconee County. In closing, I do want to invite you to our educational day, which will be on October the 29th. There is the invitation here within your calendar. But we'd love for you to actually come and tour the facility itself and kind of come and look at other resources here in Oconee County too that kind of works and does the same things we do. But we are the only residential recovery program here in Oconee County. Is there any questions?
Any questions?
Ashley, thank you for what you've done all over the years with your board, and it truly is continue to expand your programs and help those individuals. So makes a bigger impact than you'll ever know, and anybody will ever know. Even the smallest ones that may only be there a couple of days with you and decide it's not for them. But thank you for continuing to push forward with it. So, and your hope for the program as well. So thank you for that, and your board for that.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I just want to thank you, Ashley, for your work and your team's work and all the volunteers. I know that have put in a lot of time, not only getting that building up to where it is now, which is fantastic to see, but also all the time invested in people's lives. Because David mentioned it in his prayer. We're supposed to love our neighbor as ourselves. That's a commandment. And, that's what we're all supposed to be doing. So it's awesome to see that in a place that used to house folks who really didn't want to be there. Now you're housing people who want to be there for the right reasons. And so it's a great way to begin this council meeting, I think, with such a positive message and news for the successes y'all have had in there. So thank you for what you do.
I appreciate y'all.
Any other questions? Mr. Williams, thank you very much.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you, team. So. Parks, Recreation, Tourism Project Update, Mr. Phil Shirley, Oconee County Parks, Recreation, Tourism Director.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of council, thank you for the invitation to give you a little bit of an update on capital projects in the Parks, Recreation, and Tourism Department. What a difference 5 short years makes. We were talking 5 years ago about the deferred maintenance projects that we had that we couldn't keep up with, and trying to figure out a way to put Band-Aids on all of them. And this council answered a call and allowed us to have the capital project fund. And so tonight, I just want to give you an update on where those are. There's 14 active projects going on. It's a team effort. There's no way that one person can handle all that between procurement and finance. Stephen Scott is with me tonight in project management. He's taken over some project management roles within the department. You'll see there's a lot of things happening, a lot of positive things happening. And I think what we're doing is celebrating the view and the culture that how people look at our resources here in Oconee County. So with that, we'll just jump right in, maybe.
Phil, it's on the side.
She said it's on the side.
I can't see that.
There we go. So here's a list of the 14 capital projects that we currently have ongoing. You'll see they're spread out all over the county, large to small, a lot of different things happening, a lot of different phases. We are anywhere from design, engineering, bid, or construction phase on all of these. I got pictures on each one of them just to give you a quick update. The first one was not intended to be on here. We had a perfect storm happen to us at Chaw-Ram. This is the shelter that sits right above the waterfall, Ramsey Creek Falls. There's a stream that comes out of that mountain behind there. The water was flowing underneath. And then we had those number of rains in the last several months where we had 4 and 5 inches at a time and completely washed it off its foundation. So we are in the process now of designing and re-engineering, one, how to control the water that's coming down off of the mountain where we built the new office, and two, how to control the stream bed coming out of that mountain. So you'll see that unfortunately get demolished, and we're working now with our engineers to relocate that. It'll be just to the left of where you see on the right picture. It'll be just to the left of that tree where we'll move that and kind of get away from that water coming down the hill. And we'll take advantage of that, and we'll make like a dry waterfall whenever it does rain to control that and get it down to the watershed. The second one is our maintenance building at Chaw-Ram. All of you are well aware we added about 200 acres there through a conservation easement grant 3 or 4 years ago. This will be the first project. We have for years not been able to put our equipment under roof, all of our equipment. So to be able to better take care of it, this is the next step to be able to build a maintenance building. This is in the design phase now, and then we'll be working with procurement to get it out to bid soon. We have received permission from Upstate Forever on the conservation easement to get it up on top of that knoll there as part of the process. It gets our maintenance staff plenty of space and not in the public where you're recreating. So it's very important for us to try to get our maintenance kind of away from where people are having fun. The next one is our master plan. We will be starting the master plan for both Chaw-Ram and High Falls late this fall or over the winter. There's a couple of things that we're still dotting the I's on and crossing the T's on before we're ready to do that. This picture shows you the green, the original property that's both the town of Westminster and the county property, as well as the parcel that was our 212 acres we added with the conservation easement. What's not shown on here is the property upstream of Chaga River, that's the town of Westminster is under a conservation easement. They have requested us to also include that in the master plan process and to look at what the opportunities are for recreation above the park as well. So we now have 2 miles of the Chaga River running through the Chaw-Ram Park. If we're able to include that additional acreage above 76, we potentially could have 3 miles of the Chaga River running through the park. So we'll be looking at that as we work through that park master plan process. That'll be a public process. We'll set up several evenings of meetings and allow the public to come out and provide input and help us guide through that process. As we move to High Falls, this is a project that's getting ready to take shape pretty quickly. This shelter, best we can tell, has been there just about since the lake was impounded, about almost 50 years ago. It's been standing, doing its thing for those number of years, but it's time for it to get replaced. We are working with a design team now and putting together a replacement shelter in the same location, on the same pad. It's going to be slightly larger to accommodate the amount of people that we're seeing come through our parks now, and a little better design to take advantage of what we're doing now with our aesthetics across our parks. The next one is the High Falls County Park Recreation Building. Some of you had a chance to come out to South Cove yesterday to celebrate with us the South Cove opening. This is what High Falls looks like now, which is what South Cove looked like about 10 months ago. So we will begin now the process of working on this one. It's a little bit different scope than what you saw yesterday if you got to come. They're going to leave the open air windows and kind of highlight the rafters inside, but we are going to build a new back deck and cover that back deck and take advantage of being right there on the water. So that's something that has started. We've got our first phase through the ATAX and through council, and so we're working on the engineering design of that process now. The next one I put together, this is our paving project that's going on currently. The picture on the left is the patio deck that was built at High Falls about 3 years ago, and we're coming back now and we are paving from the parking lot down to that and adding some ADA parking. Right now it's just gravel. We just had to get to this point in the process to be able to get it completed. The picture on the right is Mullins Ford boat ramp. When that boat ramp was built, we didn't have the size boats and trucks that we have today. And so the launch area at Mullins Ford is not big enough, and the public is making their own way. So we're going in there and we're going to, we have designed, and it's out to bid now, to set that up so that we can now accommodate what people have today that they're launching their boats with. So that's going to help our resource there and control the water coming off of that parking lot. The next one is the historic Alexander Cannon Hill House, the White House at High Falls. Historically, this was on the Duke Energy property when the nuclear plant was built. They gave it to the county back in the 70s, moved it over here. It served as PRT office for a number of years, and we are now in a preservation project. This is the bottom floor, the public side. So if you're coming camping or coming to the store, this is now what you see. If you've been in there before, it was nothing like this. I didn't have a before and after to show on the office side. But it's a tremendous upgrade, and the next steps on that building are the electrical upstairs. We're going to move our park staff upstairs, and the one room that's behind this picture will be an interpretive room back of 1830 when the house would have been inactive when it was built. So we're looking forward to having that historic property back in its rightful place. Shoreline is an issue everywhere. We're losing shoreline by the feet. As waves get bigger and recreation gets more involved, we are seeing shoreline go away quickly. So we are working with Duke Energy on ways that we can actively control the shoreline and also actively support recreation. Because if you rock everything, you're not actively supporting recreation. It's hard to get to the water. So we're working through habitat processes and designing areas that are pleasant and still accessible, but are also controlling for those shorelines. So that's an ongoing, that's going to be a multi-year project at both parks on the lake as we're able to move through those. At High Falls, we'll also be looking at a master plan. I'm hoping to do the master plans together. We'll be seeking some feedback from you as council and from the public. The green area on this is the original High Falls Park. Currently, we have a campground there and a day use area there. The area that's in red is Duke Energy property that they have offered to the county if we would like to take it. That's a question we have to answer. Do we want to include that as a recreation offering at High Falls, and what does that look like? So that's a conversation we'll be having soon to determine our next steps on that piece of property. That's at the end of Waterfall Road. It's about a quarter mile from the existing park. And I've got some ideas internally. We've had a few things put on paper that Duke paid for. But we want to hear from a number of folks before we take our next step on that. And then this is our rec building at South Cove. Some of you got to come see it yesterday. A major transformation. Again, a chance to celebrate. All of these projects are a chance to celebrate. We serve over 300,000 people a year in our park system. That's across 13 different locations. So it's a lot of people coming in, shredding, trodding, recreating. And then you have just a couple months to kind of repair and put Band-Aids and put it back together. So this capital project plan is really assisting our staff to be able to stay on top of the opportunities that we offer the public. And you can see a major difference in what this used to look like. If you've ever been to the rec building at South Cove, this is a much improved space. One of the next things we'll be tackling at South Cove is the beach renovation. Currently, the water coming off the parking lot is a challenge. It just sheets off of there. I had a picture on here and I decided to take it off, but you can see, if you do an aerial, you can see all the sand that we've put on there for the years out in that cove. It's just a pretty white cove under the water. So this project, this is just a conceptual, and we'll start the engineering soon to capture the water with a sidewalk, a curb and gutter system, and then enhance some of that with some established picnic spaces that are maintenance-free for us, some concrete steps and concrete tables and things, add some ADA space, but also increase our beach area to be able to keep the sand in place and not, when the water's up now, if Kiwi's at full pool, we really don't have a beach. And then when Kiwi goes down, it's really mud. So we can put sand on there, but it don't last but maybe a week or so, and then it's just mud again. So this is a much needed project for us that you'll be hearing more about soon. Tennis and pickleball. Who knew what the pickleball demand was going to be 5 years ago when it started? It has, the pickleball across the country. This is not just, we're not immune, it's not just Oconee County. But we are having 40, 50, and 60 cars every day come out to play pickleball. We are in need of additional parking. This is just a startup conceptual from the engineer. We've pitched this to Duke Energy. This is Duke Energy's property. Duke Energy is very favorable towards lake recreation. Tennis and pickleball are not lake recreation. So because this is an existing court, they're allowing us to do this, but they won't allow us to expand the court system. So we're going to be, one, addressing the parking for our existing court, two, begin looking at somewhere around Seneca, South Cove, that we can add some tennis area so that we can enhance that, maybe make one pickleball, one tennis, and allow them to have their space so that they can utilize it with those similar user groups. This is the big one we have going on, Seneca Creek Park. It is all black as of this past week. All the asphalt's down, the binder coat and the top coat are in place. The bulkheads are in place, the docks are being built, the ramp's in place. We are probably 30 to 45 days from seeing some of the docks going in, and the picnic area begin to take shape. I see this opening in a December, January timeframe, depending on how things go. The restroom is going to be a little bit later. We'll add that in place. It'll be on the left-hand side of this picture. So I see it maybe being an early spring addition, as just some supply chain stuff has put it behind the 8 ball just a little bit in our construction process. But if you get a chance to ride by there, it's amazing what that change has done and what that's going to do for access to our citizens to get to Lake Hartwell. So it's going to be an incredible asset for us on that end of Seneca Creek. We also have, this is actually going on right now, started today, the shoreline restoration at South Union. Again, waves over the time has just deteriorated the asphalt. We are going in there, Roads and Bridges is going in there, reestablishing that shoreline, and hopefully we'll be able to recapture what has collapsed over the past 10 or 15 years from the water action. So that's a project that we're very appreciative of Roads and Bridges to be able to assist us with. We expect that to be a 2-week project, so that landing is currently closed. We expect it to open by the end of next week. And here's what's coming up, as if we don't have enough going on. We've got some more that are in the hopper, things that we've got to get completed. The High Falls Campground we've got to address. We've got electrical issues, we've got plumbing issues, we've got site issues. That'll be part of the master plan and things that we can discuss. We do not have an ADA restroom in Charlie Rams Campground, and that restroom is probably 45 to 50 years old. So that's on the next year's capital millage plan. And then just upgrading our playground, all of our playgrounds that get a ton of action. So we'll be looking at doing some additions to those as we move forward. That's a lot of stuff. There's no way it would be possible without, one, the capital projects plan that you guys put in place, and then two, our increased accommodations taxes. We've had some additional lodging properties come on board, and then our efforts to make sure that our short-term rentals are in compliance. So a big thank you for that, and I'll be happy to answer any questions on any of those that we got going on.
Any questions?
Mr. Chairman, thank you to you and your staff. This is all about quality of life, especially for, a lot of our citizens. This is the way, the weekends throughout the day, the pickleball and the tennis at South Cove. If you don't think people are into quality of life and outdoor activity, go by there, and I don't know how they talk over the pickleball paddles, so, but appreciate council putting that capital projects forward, because if you had looked at councils in year past, it was like, oh, well, these projects would stay on to the last and then they would fall off. So I'm grateful to the citizens that continue to support that plan, that utilize our parks and what it means for Oconee County, and thankful for your vision and Ms. Brock and her staff, and especially, procurement. I know they that notebook comes across in there, but I appreciate council's willingness to push forward to that, and the citizens supporting that effort as well. So thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Ms. Shirley. Public comment session. As a reminder, each person has 4 minutes to speak. When 1 minute is remaining, I'll hold up the yellow sign. When your time's up, I'll hold a red sign. Mr. David Dow.
Well, good afternoon. My name's David Dahl, and my wife and I live in the Richland community, and as always, I appreciate the opportunity to speak. At the last council meeting, we had this presentation on, how having to take care of our agriculture, and I've had an opportunity to go through this. I didn't care for the wind turbine stuff, but the rest of it was fairly good. Right after that meeting, my wife and I had to go to Anderson. And as you well know, I don't go down there very often, but when I do, you have to roll the dice. You want to go down Interstate 85 and take a chance on a wreck, and you stop there for an hour. Or as Tom talked about, you go around Clemson and you try to stay outside of lunch hour or 5 o'clock or something, because you don't want to get stuck. So you got to weigh it out. And so we went to Anderson, came back, had to come through Clemson around 5 o'clock. And I will tell you right now, it's worse now, traffic and stuff, than it was just, say, 3 months ago. It is absolutely awful. And, and that's coming here to Oconee. There's no question in my mind. It's coming here. People are moving down here left and right. At the last meeting, Councilman Elliott brought up, maybe it's time that Oconee County looks at getting a urban planner, or someone to help us plan the county. Somebody that's has the ability, is unbiased, and gives you different options. I'm fortunate that I've got some good friends that are in the council, county council and city mayor in Cherokee County, Georgia. And I've been able to talk to them, and they are highly recommended. They really, they've got urban planners in to help them develop Cherokee County as it's been growing. They were late to the game, they said, but after they got involved and they started presenting the public with their different plans, they really appreciated them doing that. So honestly, we've got housing projects going up on Poplar Springs and 28. They're adding more homes in Falcon Lair. Traffic, it's just getting worse and worse, and maybe it is time that the council get together and talk about some sort of urban planning or somebody to help us sort through this. Thank you very much.
Mr. James Didio.
Did I want?
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Good evening, council members. Just something I read in the paper that motivated me to come up and speak my opinion. Statement made by Vice Chair Jim Mann, provided to the Journal. This is dated Wednesday, October 12th, that new officers will be voted on to achieve diversity. And all are welcome to help us as we move forward. I think diversity is something that will come naturally as time goes on, as people step up and want to fill these positions. I think the number one concern should be choosing people and officers who show their commitment and ability to protect and defend the Constitution and act as agents of the people. And I think diversity should not be at the top of the list. That's basically all I have to say. I think it's important. That should come first. All right?
Mr. John Beret.
Good evening, council. I spoke at the planning commission last night. Told them I'd come see you today. First thing I want you to know is I'm not here to give you a bad time. As a matter of fact, I want to tell you that I think y'all all are doing a great job with what you have. Now, I really want to talk about roads and ordinances, but before I do that, I want to push again with you the extreme need for law enforcement in this county. And as a caveat, so the last time I talked to you about this, I do not work for Sheriff Crenshaw. We need more officers on the street. You need to pay them a higher salary. You need to stay with this. I just can't encourage you enough to stay with this program. Don't get behind like our roads are. You can stay with it, and you can have what is considered a place where people don't want to do crime. Or it can kind of continue on. As the gentleman talked about earlier, there are a lot of drugs in this county. You need more conspicuous patrol. They need to know more of what's going on out there. I had that patrol in our Mountain Rest area up until about 2011 or so. Haven't seen a car on the road since. And I know the reason why, because you don't have the officers. Okay, now I'm going to talk about the roads. Now, I always like to tickle your mind with a question. How many of you are still driving your 1965 car? Mr. Hart may know that. But you know what the answer is? The technology has changed. They now make them safer, better, heavier. And that's why you don't have one anymore. But guess what? You're developing ordinances, and my 37 years of experience in civil engineering are 1960 model. You guys are in trouble. You're in real trouble. If it's true that what I read is that you have all these subdivisions coming on, you need to really understand that what you're looking at is the future of the county. Let's don't talk about it just like, well, something's happening. Let's talk about it 100 years from now. So you need to really think about how you're going to take care of this. Now, the biggest thing is, I learned last night that the Planning Commission is an advisory council. Gentlemen, that is contrary to everything that's happening in the United States of America. Y'all need to fix that. You should not be having to worry about subdivision ordinances. Okay, I don't have very little time, so here I got time for your pencil. Based on the knowledge that I've gathered here this last year, you have 502 miles of paved roads You budgeted $4 million this year to repave 18 miles. The life of a roadway is 20 years. At your present rate of $2,022, it takes 28 years to repave all the roads that are in the county today, not those you're getting ready to approve. So in my lifetime, my road won't get paved. I think that's pretty sad, so I hope you will work on correcting that.
Mr. Chairman, if you have, do you need 2 minutes, or was that enough?
I'm sorry,
Do you
Steve.
need more time? I'll make a motion for 2 minutes, please, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you. The ordinances you have now under roads and bridges, as part of the ordinances I'm talking about that are 1960s model. If you build a road today, you should be out there following today's technology for designing a road that's gonna last. And that's why a lot of the roads that we have now, a lot of the problems we have now, and roads that aren't 20 years old, they're only 10 years old, or 15, are falling apart. Those ordinances you have are just, I'm sorry, they're just crap. So you need to work on that. I mean, I don't know if you want to gather a few of us old folks that have been in the profession for years and try to get some ideas, or if you need to light a fire under your road and bridges crew. I would think they should be up here telling you, guys, we need more money. So what I would like you to consider for next year and here on out is in $2,022, you propose a budget of $11 million annually for repaving, or you will never catch up. It'll go on, and y'all all die, and your road's gonna be unpaved too.
Mr.
I
Bray.
appreciate it.
Mr. Bray.
Mr. Earl,
Okay.
we can do that in Councilman.
Okay. I was just gonna ask him what he suggested for our roads.
Okay, we can do that.
Okay.
Mr. Frankie Pilcher.
Y'all are not gonna like this, but, I'd like to thank y'all for my tax increase this year of 1/3% above what it was last year. Have a nice evening.
Mr. Jake Marson Gill.
Council members. Got an issue that I'm not sure you guys can help me with or not. Got a member of the planning commission, Mr. Gary Gollin. Seems to have a personal vendetta against me. He has presented a couple of videos. He's trying to do a junkyard ordinance. I actually own a junkyard. But he comes and does videos of my house. Okay? He didn't go all over the county and do videos. He only done one video with my personal property. In my opinion, that's a misconduct of public office. And he's using his position for personal vendetta. And he's saying that, him passing my house, and I've got too many cars in my yard, is affecting his property values. So he gets a position that's appointed to him for personal gain. I don't see, if you're elected or appointed to any position in this county, you're not to do that for personal gain. Okay? You're to do your job to serve the people to the best of your ability. I know you guys got your hands tied on a lot of stuff. And you get a lot of stuff thrown at you, and you have to just take your time and get around to it. But, you know, I'm to the point of contacting an attorney and maybe seeing if SLED needs to come in and investigate. Because to me, it's unfair to me that I'm being singled out by this one person on the planning commission. So I just wanted to kind of bring it to you guys' attention and see if maybe something can be done. Thank you.
Any council member comments?
Mr. Marson-Gill, I am sorry that department, they have tried to weaponize it against you. I'm in a precarious situation. I live between the two of you. So, I think we need to investigate it and do it rapidly and find out what we can do to conclude that. But I thank you for coming forward.
Appreciate that.
Anyone else?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, a couple things that I thought were mentioned here today that I know a lot of us hear the word, planning, and everybody thinks it's the word zoning. And I constantly hear it more and more about issues that we're facing. And we had a presentation tonight about PRT and the issues and that we all know were there in front of us, and council took action to address those issues and came up with a plan. And we see the implementation of that tonight. The capital vehicle plan, we had an issue that a lot of us were not a part of that was in front of us with a lot of replacement vehicles needed. We came up with a plan, we addressed it, and if we had not done that, especially with the inflation prices that we have, we would be in an absolute mess. And that was a plan that a lot of us put together. Roads is a huge issue. Even new roads that have just recently been paved, whether it's DOT roads or our roads, already have way more travel than was originally anticipated. So I agree with the statements that's being made that, and just know there's a lot of planning going in force. I know Ms. Brock and Mr. Reed are working on something to come back to council. We are paving more road miles than we have in years past, and it's not enough. And that statement was made, that is correct. It is not enough. It's something that every county is faced with, but it's something that we're aware of, and it's something that we'll have to continue to address. I think we've done a good job at addressing a lot of issues moving forward. And I think when you see the outcome of the things that we've seen today, I know it's hard to see the vehicle, but if you talk to fire and police, that capital vehicle plan has been amazing to actually the saved hours that we've had to not having failed equipment. So I appreciate council continuing to be part of that. And as we work forward to roads, that is a huge issue that we will have to continue to address. That with failed roads is going to be, it's going to affect our citizens financially with their vehicles. DOT's got to step it up as well. I know they're working on some things. We hear about the vehicle, the gas tax, and we're not seeing the demand for that. As you see in those recent projects, I think you're going to see a lot of paving coming forth in Oconee County with that gas tax. So I appreciate the citizens continuing to send those emails into DOT for the issues in there. Those are being addressed, and if you don't know how to do that, go to the South Carolina DOT site and look on there, and it's easy to report issues. You may think they know about a pothole, but when 15 or 20 people send issues on there, that is addressed. And so I appreciate DOT looking into that. need to do, continue to do more, but I just wanted to state our roads and bridges are doing a phenomenal job. It definitely needs more money, but we have a lot of needs in here, so thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other comments?
Mr. Chair, I'd just like to thank the public for coming today and speaking about planning, and not only budget planning, but urban planning. Well, number one threat to roads and transportation routes is water, and we're seeing that impacting it, which means we probably need a stormwater management plan, assess our current conditions of the county, and then figure out how we're gonna manage it going forward as we see this growth. But, you know, the comments, he's 100% right. We need more money in roads. We need more money for law enforcement. We just had a law enforcement public safety committee meeting right prior to this meeting. We've got 6 open positions in public safety and law enforcement right now. They've been open since the new budget began July 1, unfilled. Not to mention all the other open positions that we're facing in this county. But, you know, it's gonna hit us. It's hitting us now. And I'd encourage this council next year during the budget process to figure it out, because I'll tell you, we've talked about planning a long time, and for some people it's a 4-letter word, but it is the most important function of this council is to plan. That is the number one function of the county council, is planning. And it must be done, and the plans must be executed. They cannot sit on a shelf, must be put into place and measure the results. So I'm glad to hear people are seeing that that's an urgent need. So just encourage council next budget year to focus on plans. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Sure. Any other comments? If not, public hearing for the following ordinance. Ordinance 2022-23. Amending chapter 26 of the Columbia County Code of Ordinances in certain limited regards and particulars only to allow for the construction of sidewalks and county right-of-ways. Other matters related thereto. There's been one person that signed up for the public hearing. That's Lucreta Morgan.
Hi, my name is Lucretia Morgan, and I would like to express my concerns regarding adding sidewalks in the county right-of-way. The sidewalk ordinance was added in December 2008, ordinance 2008-19, which prohibited sidewalks in the county right-of-way. Now, 14 years later, why is there a need to change it? When brought up in the planning commission meetings, the county attorney, Mr. Root, advised against allowing sidewalks in the county right-of-way due to liability reasons. However, the commission members decided to move forward by adding a provision to the standard. The proposed ordinance states that a financially responsible entity must agree to perform maintenance and repairs to the sidewalks and also accept all potential liability from the existence and use of the sidewalk. What happens if the third party goes out of business and cannot be located in 10 or 20 years when repairs are needed due to trees cracking and creating tripping hazards? Since it will be stated on the plat that Oconee County will not take responsibility for the maintenance or repair, does that fall back to the property owner? Would I then be liable if someone is injured on a sidewalk on my property? What is the reason behind the change? Does this mean a developer or someone can build a sidewalk on private property, assuming the county has a deeded right-of-way? Also, does this apply to cases where there's only like a prescriptive right-of-way, which are not deeded? And also, how can a third party be given the right to put a sidewalk on someone's property? The South Carolina Court of Appeals ruled municipalities can be held liable for defects even when the degree of control or ownership over the sidewalk is not the responsibility of the municipality. That case was Flickling versus the City of Charleston. I would like to ask if the council members have reviewed the purpose of the sidewalk ordinance in 2008. In the end, the taxpayers will foot the bill when something goes wrong. Thank you.
No one else has signed up for public hearing 2022-23. I close public hearing 2022-23. Public hearing ordinance 2022-25. An ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of a lease agreement between Oconee County as a leaseor and Julie Ibrahim as leasee for certain office space located at the Oconee County Regional Airport, 365 Airport Road, Seneca, South Carolina, and other matters related thereto. No one has signed up for public hearing 2022-25. I close public hearing 2022-25. Third reading of the following ordinances. Ordinance 2022-23. An ordinance amending Chapter 26 of the Oconee County Code of Ordinances in certain limited regards and particulars only to allow for the construction of sidewalks in county right-of-ways and other matters related thereto. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Mr.
Mr. Root, the liabilities of this, is that gonna really affect the county? I mean, the same situation that she drew, third party moves in, 20 years later moves out, a tree grows, pushes the sidewalk up to where somebody trips and can sue someone. Is that gonna affect the county?
That was one of my concerns, yes, sir, that it would.
Thank you.
Any other discussion?
Mr. Chair. And I've talked with Mr. Root about this, just trying to balance the concerns of liability. Because we have, of course, we do have the restrictions, the requirements in here that a third party state they're responsible and be financially responsible for it. I'm just, in trying to provide safe passage for people pedestrian wise, you know, what's the lesser harm? Is it to say you can't put sidewalks in the right of way, or in which case you would have to walk on the road or beside the road in a, you know, in a potentially unsafe situation? Or, you know, we have, of course, the county has insurance, and somebody had called me and asked, you know, said, well, we're gonna get sued over this. And I said, well, there's an awful lot of sidewalks in the city of Seneca, the city of Westminster, the city of Walhalla. I'm sure Salem and West Union have sidewalks as well. How many lawsuits have been there in the past 10 years? I'm not aware of any. Now, there may have been one, but I'm not aware of any. So while I agree with Mr. Root, this does increase the liability of the county potentially. I think to provide an opportunity for people to safely walk and balanced with the relatively increased risk of a lawsuit if the sidewalk's not maintained, I just, you know, looking at the area that we live in, it just seems like it doesn't happen that often in places that have had sidewalks here for probably 40 or 50 years. And those are city-maintained sidewalks. I know, and I understand, I appreciate our attorney trying to keep us out of the ditch, but I think, you know, based on what's gone on in the past few decades here, I don't think it's a huge risk. And then we do have insurance, of course, to cover us in the event that it was a lawsuit. But, you know, I certainly understand both sides of it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Well, I think in some ways, a sidewalk actually saves the side of the road, because if you're walking in the road or, you know, and the roads are in bad shape on the side and you're injured because of that, is the same liability not in existence because of the failure to maintain the side of a road? Would that be true?
Failure to maintain the side of the road properly would increase liability also, yes, sir.
So what I have seen more and more of is the curb actually saves the side of the road, as well as provides a safe place to walk. I would guess, based on what I'm seeing on here, most sidewalks are all concrete, not asphalt, obviously. So, you know, you're dealing with a harder construction material that has less of a chance to move So if the same thing exists, and if we're worried about tree roots growing, some of the places that I'll walk in and around my office in Seneca, the side of the road is dangerous as well. So, again, the pros outweigh the cons to me in this, and that's the way that I looked at it in the decision that I'm making. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
That is 3-1.
Ordinance 2022-25, an ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of lease agreement between Oconee County as lessor and Julie Abraham as lessee for certain office space located in Oconee County Regional Airport, 365 Airport Road, Seneca, South Carolina, and other matters related thereto. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
That is 4-0.
Okay, first reading the following ordinance. Ordinance 2022-27, an ordinance to amend and supplement ordinance 2022-01 as supplemented by ordinance 2022-19, which established the budget for Oconee County and provided for the levy of taxes for ordinary county purposes for the Tri-County Technical College Special Revenue Fund, for the Emergency Services Protection Special Revenue Fund, for the Road Maintenance Special Revenue Fund, for the Bridge and Culvert Capital Project Fund, for the Economic Development Capital Project Fund, for the Parks, Recreation, Tourism Capital Projects Fund, for the Debt Service Fund, for the Vehicle Services Special Revenue Funds, for the Capital Vehicle Equipment Fund, all in Oconee County for fiscal year beginning July 1, 2022 and ending June 30, 2023, in order to effect a supplemental appropriation and other matters related thereto. Is a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Brock, can you give us a quick highlight of what we're doing here?
Yes, sir, I'd be happy to do that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of council. We have grown exponentially. We thought that our estimates were even aggressive during the budget cycle. We learned after the passing of the budget that our aggressiveness was not quite as aggressive as the demand for more product. We have studied and studied. I've even delayed this for 2 weeks because
This is on Rock Quarry, right?
this is specifically only to the Rock Quarry Enterprise Fund. There will be no change to any other division of county money, including every fund that you listed, and the Oconee County General Fund is included in that as well. This is specific to only the Rock Quarry Enterprise Fund. So we are at a 32% increase right now in blasting, which in turn has caused increase in overtime, diesel, maintenance on equipment, the establishment of the new residential yard. Because our demand has increased, our risk for that residential customer being in the commercial loading yard has also increased. We have to increase our safety equipment because for the increased production to meet the increased demand, we will be working in the mine more hours, and the capital equipment. That was simply an increase. We did budget for all of the things that are requested to be increased. All of those things currently have a line item budget amount, but 5 of them need to be increased, resulting in direct demand and our ability to maintain and operate efficiently and safely. We do anticipate their sales this year to be 8.97, which is creeping up on the $10 million. And just to give some reference for that, that's a little more than double what we were doing 5 years ago.
So this is an increase in revenue, an increase in expenditure, a zero-sum game.
Correct.
Any other discussion?
Yes. How much does this bump our little budget that keeps getting bigger and bigger? How much is it now? 60 what?
No, Mr. Hart, this is a separate fund. This is an enterprise fund, and this is not inclusive in the general fund. This is not quote-unquote tax dollars.
Does this come out of the rock quarry's money?
This is only specific to the Rock Quarry, yes,
In other
sir.
words, they're paying their own way.
Absolutely, and they contribute, just for the record and for the public's benefit, The rock quarry for the last 3 years we have done a transfer from the enterprise fund to the Oconee County General Government Fund in the amount of $1 million to offset any expense to the taxpayer here, while still being able to maintain a modest fund balance in the rock quarry's enterprise fund.
In
So
my
there's
simple-
no
in my-
change whatsoever.
In my
Mr.
simple terms, the Rock Quarry is a profit center.
Enterprise fund,
And I know we're talking governmental.
Yes.
But in layman's terms, it's a profit center. It turns a profit historically, and it returns money to the general fund, which keeps the taxpayers from having to pay taxes.
yes. Put simply, yes.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion?
And this would be, again, anytime we do a budget revision, it's an approval of the existing budget that's in there as well as any kind of amendment that we have. So going through, I think, there were some statements made about, there's going to be budget revisions. Well, that's just part of government, unless you want to, in the case of this is direct demand for what we're trying to do. So I am very appreciative of the original budget that was passed that was aggressive for what the rock quarry was going to do. Very appreciative of what the rock quarry is doing. And it's not only is it a helping into our general government funds. I think it was $750,000 this year. Is that correct?
It's 1 million.
So is it, okay, so, not only, I think it was, 750, anyway.
It's 1 million.
Okay.
I want to make sure.
750 last year.
750 last year, okay. So, it continues to not only provide that into our budget, so the citizens don't have to come up with that kind of money. It also, what it's providing to the workforce out there, and savings to us as a county on building roads and those that are built here. So I think, I'm very appreciative that y'all are able to keep up with the demand at the rock quarry. I haven't seen anybody coming up here and praising you. I usually only see them come up here and bash you. So I'm very appreciative of what y'all are doing, and that speaks volumes that you don't have anybody coming up here telling you. So they are appreciative of that. It's kind of the silent group that they are, and I've heard nothing but great things about what y'all are doing out there and how hard y'all are working and learning that piece of equipment, because that was not the easiest piece of equipment to learn. So appreciative of what y'all are continuing to do, the training and getting your staffing in there. So definitely in favor of the original budget as well as this amendment tonight.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
That is 4-0.
Okay. Discussion regarding action items. Council consideration of funding amount not to exceed $2 million and for the anticipated increase in construction costs related to completion of Sewer South. It's my understanding that Sewer South is getting ready, hopefully, in the next 4 or 5 months or less, to break ground on Sewer South.
Maybe
And-
sooner than that.
And this project's been going on since I've been on council, I believe.
Yes, sir.
And so the original estimate, and we all know what's gone with costs, especially building costs. This is building costs. So I make a motion, we've got 2.6 million left in ARPA money, right?
Yes, sir. At this time, the balance is $2,638,229.
So I'll make a motion that we use ARPA funds for this increase in cost up to $2 million.
Second?
And if I could just jump in, it would need to be by an appropriations ordinance, again, like we've done the others. So it'd be a motion to direct me to draft the ordinance.
Okay, I bend the motion directed to Mr. Root to construct the ordinance. Right.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. It's great to see Sewer South going on. I think everybody said their pickaxe. I know Glenn's been down there with his pickaxe, throwing it down in there. I do want to speak to the future of this. This is an extremely expensive project. It's one that is definitely going to change the face of Oconee County. It's going to create a industrial environment down there. I've seen nothing but support down there. I know Mr. Hart's been to every meeting that they've had down there, appreciative of his involvement down there. You know, when you're doing speculative sewer, it's not the most conservative style of government, but it creates an environment of workforce and creates a lot of, to me, ongoing positive future for Oconee County. I continue to be in favor of Sewer South as we move forward.
Excuse me, any other discussion?
Mr. Chair, I just want to say I intend to vote in favor of this, but it is frustrating from my perspective, given the passage of time, that we're now having to spend $2 million additional dollars on a speculative project. We know we have hundreds of millions of dollars in investment waiting simply for sewer. It's quite frustrating. And hopefully this will be the last expenditure for Sewer South until the next phase. But, you know, it's just, I hope a lot of people tie on to it. You know, this is a speculative project, and we're counting on a lot of people hooking onto that sewer because we got a lot of money waiting on sewer in other areas. So anyway, keep it positive.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Mr.
They had a pre-construction conference down there today. I went down, I was probably eating when I should have been sitting there watching. But they had 5 contractors there who were getting information to submit bids. So Ms. Brock asked me would I let y'all know that we do have people that's interested in trying to start that up. Thank you.
Maybe we'll get started before you go off council.
I don't care about that. I just want to see people tie into this line because we've spent a lot of time and a lot of money getting it down there. So I really, and now we see the development pressure coming from the east. If you look at that map over there that's adopted a part of our comprehensive plan, that's where we want the growth to occur, along the interstate and along that Clemson corridor. I'm really hoping we'll get a lot of projects down there in the southern end of the county now that we have sewer. So keep praying for that. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor?
That is 4-0.
Okay. Council consideration and approval to authorize the administrator to waive Oconee County encroachment permit fees in the amount of $1,426.50 for the city of Westminster to assist the city in its municipal water systems upgrade. The staff's recommendation and council authorize the county administrator to waive Oconee County encroachment permit fees in the amount of $1,426.50 for the city of Westminster to assist the city in its municipal water system upgrades. Is there a motion to approve?
Move.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
As we move forward with this, something that, in speaking with Ms. Brock on, anytime a city brings up something, this is a net zero, so this is only, we're not losing any money for these encroachment permit fees. One thing that I'd probably look to move on would be where we would have the ability for the administrator to waive up to $5,000 of encroachment fees for municipalities. We do the same thing for nonprofits, but it was something that I wanted to be for council to consider moving forward. So the ability of her would be to waive these encroachment permit fees up to $5,000 per municipality moving forward. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other discussion?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I noticed in here that they're requesting right-of-way for Dinky Road, and I forgot the other name. But that's the roads that we threw out to be abandoned, and now they're gonna put a water line down it?
That is the plan as far as I know, Mr. Hart. I did make that notation, and just to let everyone here know, Kevin Bonson, the city administrator for the city of Westminster, was unable to attend this evening. If that becomes an issue, we'll be happy to work with them. I believe this was just in for the engineering phase of it, for them to get the encroachments for their finalized drawings. I did mention that to him, and I'll be happy to bring that back up again so that they may locate an alternative.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, that was
Yes, sir.
Dinky Line Road, Thornburg Road, Mr. Hart.
My mind won't grasp all those.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye.
That is 4-0.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Root, would I need to make a motion to draft an ordinance about encroachment permit fees for municipalities at a different time?
Do you want to do it, so the one for the nonprofits and Ellen Musselor corporations is within the budget? I'm thinking we'd put it within the budget unless you want to do it sooner than that, then if you want to do it sooner, then, yeah, direct me to do it and I'll draft it up now, or we can just include it in the budget.
Mr. Chairman, if I may,
Yes, sir.
we couldn't include that in the second reading of this budget amendment? Just make
Yeah,
it,
actually, I didn't even think about that, I certainly could, yeah.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Any discussion?
thank you very much.
All in favor? Aye.
That is 4-0.
Okay. Procurement, ITB.
No,
Mr.
no,
Chair.
that was an amendment. No, we'd already voted on that, so that was an additional motion to draft an ordinance in
Okay.
regards to that agenda item. The agenda item had already
The
passed.
language would tack on to the second
So-
reading
Gotcha.
of the budget
Okay.
revision, since
Just making
that
sure
is in
we're-
the budget
It's
language
not-
as provided.
The only thing we were voting on would be to draft an ordinance in regards to that. So that was only, it was just a motion of direction, correct, Mr. Chairman?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Procurement, ITB 22-05, REB, rebid, all capitalized, rebid. Title, asphalt and striping for High Falls and Mullins Ford. Department, Parks, Recreation, Tourism, amount $87,790, contingency 10%, $8,779, total award $96,569. Procurement was approved by council in fiscal year 2022-23 budget process. Budget, $96,569, project cost, $96,569, balance zero. Funding from the local accommodations tax. It's staff's recommendation that council, one, approve the award of ITB, I don't want to say ITB 22-05 rebid to Hubbard Paving and Grading, Inc. of Walhalla, South Carolina, in the amount of $87,790 plus a 10% contingency amount, $8,779, for a total award of $96,569. Two, approve an additional $48,869 from local aid tax funds to be used for this project. Three, authorize the county administrator to approve any change order in the contingency amount. Is there a motion to approve?
Move.
Second.
Any discussion? Not all in favor? Aye.
That is 4-0.
2022 Hyundai wheel loader, Department Rock Quarry, amount $359,963. Procurement was approved by council in fiscal year 2022-23 budget process. Budget, $359,963, project cost, $359,963, balance zero. Staff's recommendation that council approve the purchase of Hyundai HL 980A wheel loader from National Equipment Dealer, business as May/RHI of Columbia, South Carolina, in the amount of $359,963. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? If not, all in favor? Aye.
That is 4-0.
Hustler 60-inch wide conveyor, Department Solid Waste, amount $194,885, contingency 10%, $19,488.50. Total award, $214,373.50. Procurement was approved by council in fiscal year 2022-23 budget process. Budget, $214,373.50. Project cost, $214,373.50. Balance, zero. It's staff's recommendation, the council approve, one, approve the purchase of the Hustler 60-inch wide conveyor from Krigler Enterprises, Inc. of Mableton, Georgia, in the amount of $194,885, plus a 10% contingency in the amount of $19,488.50, for a total award of $214,373.50. And two, authorize the county administrator to approve any change orders within the contingency amount. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Any discussion?
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Hall.
Why is there contingency on this and there wasn't one on the tractor or the front end loader just in front of it?
The contingency for this, actually, I believe there was, no?
No, there was none on the wheel loader.
Oh, for the
'cause that's
wheel
a
loader.
direct purchase.
Because it's a direct purchase.
This one they're installing.
Understand that, but still,
Well, if they get down in the pit and there's something they have to do additional, there could be a change order that comes up. They may have to modify something in the pit, or, it's just a precaution. They
Okay.
may use it, it may not be spent.
So part of this installation, Mr. Hart, is for us to lessen the depth of the pit that is currently under the baler, and there may be some unforeseens under there.
I just thought maybe this was one piece of unit you move in, set up, and
Well, there's an installation process, and our current one is from 1996. So I have a feeling there could be some adaptations that have to be made in where the brackets are over the confined space training pit. Because there's a pit, a significant pit under the Baylor Mound.
yeah, I read all that.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
That is for O.
Thank you.
Repair BOMAG refuse compactor. Solid waste. Estimated amount is $74,433.97. $20,000 total, $94,433.97. It's staff's recommendation that council, one, approve the repair of BOMAG refuse compactor in the estimated amount of $74,433.97 plus $20,000 contingency for a total amount of $94,433.97 to Linder Industrial Machinery of Greer, South Carolina. Two, authorize the county administrator to approve and sign any change orders within the contingency amount. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, sir. We can possibly get some of this back as when we're filing from the insurance side of things?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
so
potentially.
potentially.
But while we're waiting on that insurance claim, we
Right.
need this piece of equipment desperately in the landfill. It is one of our most utilized pieces of equipment. And Mr. Hart, if you want me to preemptively, I do know the full answer on why we have such a large contingency on this one. This piece of equipment was damaged. We had some significant rainfall and the piece of equipment slid and it got stuck between a stump or a root system and the side of the bank. And when it was removed, we know that there was a pump punctured, but on that, we're not sure. So we built in that contingency in case when we got in there, there was another item found damaged, that we would have the ability to cover that cost, because this piece of equipment is vital to the operation of the landfill.
The 20,000, if I was doing the mechanic work, wouldn't be enough.
Wouldn't be enough? Whew, I'm glad we're using Lindler.
I don't like getting my hands greasy.
Will you report back to us if we get,
For insurance
when we get
proceeds.
insurance reserve fund, if we do or don't?
I'll
Okay.
be happy to.
And if
do
that money comes back, that would just be put in the fund balance after,
It goes back to capital vehicle and equipment replacement if it
Stay
came
in the
from
fund.
capital
okay,
vehicle.
so it would stay within the fund?
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, that was my question.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor?
That is for O.
Thank you all again.
Installation of groundwater monitoring wells, Department of Solid Waste, amount $87,070. Procurement was approved by council in fiscal year 2022-23 budget process. Budget $87,070, project cost $87,070, balance zero. Staff's recommendation that council approve the installation of additional groundwater monitoring wells to Smith Gardner Inc. of Raleigh, North Carolina, in the amount of $87,070. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. One thing I just want to mention as we work through these items, all these items were put in for the fiscal year 2022-2023 budget. So as we're voting on them tonight, these were all put into place for that. So when we're talking about how much the budget is or how much it's grown, the things that we're doing, every piece of equipment, everything that we've purchased tonight is what this county needs to continue to move forward. So I just wanted to note that when we're going through this planning, and I'm very appreciative of staff for looking at this stuff and working with your department heads to make sure that the equipment as it comes through the capital vehicle replacement plans. But, this is a very expensive night, but a very big investment in our county. So again, very appreciative of that budget process, and it's very in-depth each year as we're spending a lot of our citizens' money tonight. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other discussion? Not all in favor? Aye. Okay, board and commission appointments, Arts and Historical Commission, we have one at-large seat, no questioners on file for this seat. Conservation Plank Board, District 4 seat, no questioners on file for this seat. Council will go into executive session for the following purposes. One, discussion regarding an economic development matter, Project Green Hall. Two, discussion regarding economic development matter, Project Thread. Is there a motion to go into executive session and include Mr. Don Mize?
Make a motion.
All in favor? Aye. Is there a motion to go out of executive session?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
4-0.
No action was taken in executive session. Don't think we need anything. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.